When I fold my cardstock, I always leave one side a little longer than the other, which that would become the front. That way the recipient can easily open it. If you were to buy a store-bought card, the side would pretty much be like what the top and the bottom is like, and it's really difficult to open it up. So I find when I end up buying store-bought cards in a box, I'll end up rescoring them, just so this ends up happening here. For this project, we need 3 12 by 18 pieces of cardstock scored in half. I'm just gonna say one is the middle of the card, which would have the longer piece in the front. Then we're gonna angle, which would be the longer piece in the front, towards the left, and slide it right over the front panel. And then what would be the back, we would make sure that the longer side would go on the outside and the shorter side would go on the inside. And that way you don't have any binding going on also. You're still going to end up with that longer piece in the front. So you will, if you're doing this technique, you'll want to make sure that all of the pieces of paper do end up the right way. Okay, we're simply going, looks kind of funny like that, doesn't it? We're simply going to go ahead and I'm just going to put this together with double-sided adhesive, which you can use glue. If anybody would like me to demonstrate how one of these would go together with liquid glue, I will gladly do that. It's just easier, I would say, especially if you're a beginner, easier to use the double-sided adhesive. Some things you have to work very quick with, and sometimes the wet glue you do have to work quite fast. Okay, we're going to try to get the right angle and I'll be right back. Okay, well I have already gone ahead and squared this wallpaper up. We had a little bit of difficulty with filming, so I'm actually going to film this myself. Kind of questioned when the day would come where I would have to do this. We've been so used to filming just like entertainment videos, and obviously I just set the camera still when I play the piano and film, so I do that myself. I think the kids started out filming me in the beginning, and it was just set the camera there and film, so I could just do that easy. I have a feeling I'm such a perfectionist that when I need to do close-ups, it really is best if I start filming. So I'm just going to simply show you what I did to square this paper up. All I would have done was taken kind of the uneven side to start off with, just lining it up as best as I could to get a clean cut on the right, and then I would have just constantly rotated the paper. This would have been cut perfect, so then I would have just placed that over the white line, trimmed, rotated. Again, it's just a repeat all the way around. Line it up over the white, trim, and this would have been the last one, and that's when I would have determined what I would have wanted for the measurement, top to bottom, and I found out that I needed to go just beyond that white line for the measurements of that book. Which, I mean, if you're really going to do it right, you're going to line it up on the white, and I would have gone just over. So this is the part where you have to be a perfectionist for this part, if you want your paper to be exact, which I do. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, well we're back in the craft room filming, and I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. I'm not sure if I folded one of these sheets of cardstock or not in a previous video. I'm going to have to go through and edit. I had canned a lot of footage, So this is what I was talking about, and it just automatically happens when you use the Martha Stewart scoring board. You can just easily fold your cardstock to where you automatically have that longer piece on one side than the other, and it really is needed. Okay, well, I'm gonna show you. So really just, they're all the same, so just as long as you have the longer piece in the front like I had previously shown. I won't need that one right now. I'm just gonna work on the front. So that piece that I said aim towards the left, having the longer piece on the outside, I'm just gonna start assembling this right with the front. That's pretty even, but we're just gonna go ahead and tape first, and I'm gonna work right on, this is another piece you have to really look at. Is the front panel gonna go beyond the outside of the card? No, it's not. I can actually see a little bit of the card. So right away, that tells me don't tape that part, tape this part. That way, if for some reason you don't want this outside sticking to it, it won't. Or I'm telling you, this adhesive, if anything is exposed, whatever touches it sticks to it. So I know, don't tape right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and tape all on the inside. Again, check your work. Make sure you're working on the long side. So I can get as close to that edge as I want, because it's not going to go beyond. I don't know if you can see or not, but I've added a shop light in here that my husband had bought for me a while ago. I don't know if you can actually show that. So hopefully the frosted globes aimed back down will help to have those removed so we can see a little bit better. And there is also a trick that I will share on the inside of this when you go to add adhesive. A lot of times people don't show how they started something. It's more or less, this is it, and this is what it looks like when it's done. I mean, it's really nice to see how people put things together. Okay, so this is a little trick right here. You want to make sure that this piece is right in that fold, top to bottom. You can, at this point, because this doesn't go beyond this, when you're working on the front, you can just tap it down like that. Make sure the sides, you can feel it with your hands. Make sure the sides are lined up right now. If you don't move that, that is literally set. So I can let go of that and I can remove all of this tape. Because I'm holding this down, you don't want to start sliding things around. And that should be even. So that's how easy that is. Okay, so now that we have the front glued, we can go ahead and adhere this. Now this is the part that, again, you're going to want to work on this flap, especially just for this part. If you went and put your adhesive right in the very middle on this side, and then you folded this over, you'd have adhesive showing right there, and this could really bother the inside of your card. So that is a big mistake. Don't do that. So I have made enough of these projects to where I know the little tricks to tell people. And again, I mentioned this, it's very important that you say what not to do and why. When it comes to a craft like this, it just is going to save you headaches. There isn't anything any worse trying to take time to do things like this and then have your project ruined. This is really a fun little project to do. Easy. Fun when you can do things that are just effortless if you go about it right. So this couldn't be any easier. I mean, everything's all stuck on the front, nothing's moving. So when you go to work on the inside flaps, it's just a piece of cake. Alright, so the front panel is done. That's how easy it is. Everything's perfectly lined up. And we're just going to work on the back just like we had done with the front. So the long piece will aim on the outside. Now this one may come out just beyond the card, the back of the card, and we have that nice longer piece in the front. You should be able to see that, and that's what I'm looking for. Even it's so fun when you get a big project done like this and that shows up, you know you've done your work right. So if for some reason you get through your card and this is the front, well, you know, because you can sometimes go as far as to decorate something if you're using colored cardstock and you meant for this to be the front, and then you're looking at that like, oh no, it's backwards. So it really does, you want to pay attention. This one, we're gonna tape for the back right on what would be the back. We're not gonna tape like we did earlier. So this is just a little bit different. But that would be because we don't want that adhesive sticking out from the flap we're putting on. We can just go ahead and tape right here. So it's really just holding it steady to get that first part stuck, and then after that it's just a piece of cake. This one I'm just going to hold it up in the air a little bit. And there really isn't much you can do with this because this is the middle of the card. You know, if this is touching and you can actually feel it on this one, you really can't do much of anything else. It is what it is. But the good thing is you can hold this up, and at this point you can look at that part on the front being a little bit longer, and you know if you're eyeing that and that is even and the sides are even, just set it down at that point. It's not going anywhere. So again, I'm not moving this at all once I'm finding out where this needs to be. That little tape is sometimes hard, that liner, to get off. My nails grow so fast, but I have to constantly cut them because of playing the piano. Again, just work your way down. Make sure your hand always stays under here. If you take all of that adhesive liner off at once, oh my word, if you didn't hold this up and you let that go down, that could literally stick where it shouldn't be stuck. It's just like crazy glue. I think that is the biggest problem for beginners, not knowing where to start. They don't know how to adhere anything together. What kind of tape do they use? What kind of glue do they use? They're so mixed up. Now this, again, to avoid getting that sticky adhesive all down the middle, this is when you're going to want to tape right on the flap itself. So you can watch what I'm using. This is 1/2 inch double-sided adhesive. Glue is probably more reasonable, but it's just up to the person, the individual, what they would prefer. It's not too much because I've chosen to only use 3 pieces on each side. And it will adhere fine. So this is so easy and it's actually fun. Fun little project. And to be able to make something and have it come out perfect, that's the fun part, that everything is even. And we didn't have to square any of the cardstock up. It really is just perfect. Buying this, I buy my cardstock from the paper mill store, and for the most part use Nina. I do have other name brands, but the Nina cardstock really is good, and you can see how you just have an amazing card. Now, something that I am going to mention, I'm just going to grab a piece of paper here. I think that this was footage that I deleted, so I'm going to go over this because this is something that I don't want to have lost and not mention it. You can see right at this point, it's just lying flat. So that's great. If you were turning this into like a little binder, or maybe like something you would use for paying bills, and it had pockets, you would want to leave that like that. But if you were adding an insert to this, and you didn't, maybe this was a card that you were going to be making. Obviously, this can be so many different things. Maybe you don't want your card to open any more than that. Well, then this would obviously be the size of what the inside would be. If you chose to put your adhesive right up against that fold and would close your book like that and open it up, that's automatically gonna make this card to where it's gonna bind a little bit and it's not gonna open much. So there's no chance, even if you lay it down, it's gonna be up like this. If you want your project to open wider, especially if you're trying to use this as a little photo background, take your tape and add it, push it off to the side a little bit. Don't go right up in against this fold. Add it on the side, and that's going to allow your project to then go from what would be about here to about here. So that's just something that you're going to find when you make them, because that would be very disappointing to you if you're trying to get these beautiful, backgrounds for photos and your project won't open. It's just like this and you're thinking, oh my word, what happened? So it's just a little trick. Okay, I'm back and I'm going to show you how I this wallpaper to this card that I just made. There, that's good. Turn it upside down and look through it that way. So now that I've done this, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll do the other one at the same time. So patience, it's pretty much all crafting takes sometimes. And if this is off a little bit, you're not exactly, I like 2.5 inches. If it's not exactly 2.5 inches, it doesn't matter. All it is the little piece that you're going to see on the inside of the card, and I really don't think anybody is going to look at it that much. So let's see what this is going to look like in the end. Obviously. Might help if I hold one tight first. And put this one on. We are going to work on the back before the front. That way the front piece will overlap the back. Now this is when, if you're running a piece sideways, it kind of takes that look away, or if you want to get in your third color, then you can just place it right over that seam, and that gives a nice look. That's cute. Alright, so let's see. I'm just going to start with the back and we'll just add the adhesive. Again, you just have to take a little bit of time to make sure everything is lined up. I wish that they would use a different color for the backing. It seems like we work so much white on white that it's probably quite difficult for anyone to see when filming. Even if somebody wears glasses, I would think that it would be a little bit difficult to see. You know, the red liner tape is really nice, but for the amount of money that it costs, we don't really want to be using it on all of our projects. So I was going to turn that around. I do want to work on the back. Just double check your own work. Now, do I want to have that long? I don't think so. I think I'm going to cut that just a little bit. I do kind of want it to overlap the binding a little bit, but not that much. So I'm just I'll take half of it off. I love this guillotine cutter by Martha Stewart. I use that a lot. So that being the back. Just kind of feel the sides of the card itself when you're doing this. That's not really going to help too much, honestly. I'm just going to push that up to the edge and actually feel it with my hands, and then I'm going to know that it's correct. And again, hold it in place so it won't shift. Looks like to me it did, so let me see here. You know what it is? I'm trying to stand at an angle so you can see me, and I'm not crafting like I normally would. I'm literally going to put that back So I'm having a little bit of an issue doing this because I'm standing sideways for one. Put it back. And I'm just going to remove one for the camera. Let me see. I will get it. I have patience, and at least I'm not nervous. I'm not a nervous person. I would honestly rather craft in front of people than do YouTube videos. Remember when we first started filming on YouTube? I did that craft room tour and I just wished, oh, I was so aggravated. I wished that somebody was just here. I said I'd stand in front of a couple thousand people than to film a YouTube video and not see anybody. There. So I would advise you, but you'll be working different when you're by yourself. You won't be standing crooked like I am. Alright, and then just lift that up. And then we're just going to go ahead and do this right on the book. So, repeat, repeat, repeat. The edge, the middle, the edge. Just like we put this card together is exactly how you're going to apply the wallpaper on the card. Easy, easy. So there's a few places you have to take your time, make sure that it's going on even. Once it goes on, I mean, you're all set. I'm only going to take one piece off at a time. When you're working with wallpaper, it can be a nightmare. When it lays down, it lays down. And that's it. So, just take one piece off at a time, and I'm not going to have it getting stuck where I don't want it to be. Could be end up a nightmare. It doesn't lay down like cardstock does. The white on white, hard to see. Just tape that. And I think on this, take this one off first. Kind of push that up over. I'll start in the middle and then I'll kind of push out to the sides. So that's the back. Such a little lip. I thought, oh my word, did I put that on the wrong? But it wasn't. It was because the back was put on. It almost made it even with the front because it had more paper. Once that front goes on, then it becomes that longer piece. Alright, so let's start right here. Honestly feel like I'm just starting on YouTube because all this time we've just really been entertainment videos. So it's kind of fun that I've finally gotten into doing DIY videos. Filming is a little different, huh? this lined up first. Which takes just a little bit. Make sure your paper is even. Just gonna put that in like that and shake the outside quick. Now I did square this wallpaper up. I am fussy, but I don't want something crooked in the end. I think that looks all right. So I know a lot of people work with contact paper. If you're somebody that works with well, the inside of that doesn't quite look right. So did it shift on me or not? If you work with contact paper, you probably love doing things like this. I think something shifted, and that would be, I'm just going to go ahead and hope for the best. Because this paper is slippery. It's not like cardstock. I'm pretty sure that's fine. It is. Alright, same thing. I would not want to be using wet glue on this part at all. So this is really when you want to use double-sided adhesive. And some people might just choose to use their scissors like that. I just want to go right to the edge because I want as much of this adhesive on as I possibly can. Fussy. Yeah, you can't be too fussy when you're making it yourself, a handmade thing. Inside out, and this will go easier. Holding it up, make sure that doesn't sit down. That looked like that buckled just a little tiny bit. Maybe the paper was a little bit, because that looks like that's setting fine elsewhere. I guess we're not going to worry about that at all. Anyway, well, there's always things. It is. See that?
Yeah.
How it's buckled. The wallpaper itself is buckled. I don't know if it would have gotten wet, but it's fine. I think it was something I had done. Tap of the tape on her. So we're almost done. looks kind of, it's gotten wet a little bit. So this is the part you want to round it. Don't ever open your book up and try to apply it flat. I suppose you could, but in some cases it's not going to work good. Some cases you're not going to get your book closed if you did the wrong move on certain things. That wouldn't be too good. Easy, easy. Get the liner off. There you go. So that looks pretty good. And that little buckle right there, that actually went in a very good spot because I'm going to end up decorating the front, so that is perfect. The back came out really nice, so wow, that couldn't have worked out any better. So, and it's perfect. The top is right on, the bottom is. So that's how easy it is. Alright, well I'm going to be back because, let me get this up a second, I'm going to grab that card and show you why I had done that. Because I had already done that step. And I thought, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. But now let me show the two together. That would be the front and the back. Now, if you don't want the look of just the two pieces of wallpaper, you can just cut a little strip, which this was the wallpaper that looked kind of like leather. So just a little, let me see, get my ruler here to see how wide that actually was. Just a 2-inch strip. So if you wanted to put that over here, I had come in almost 4.5 inches. So just place that right there. Alright, well I'm gonna have to cut a few little pieces down here for this project. I thought that I would have this run onto the back and then have this a little more narrow and just give like a little background look. Alright, so I'm going to figure out how wide I want this to be and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and that thinking definitely needed to be thought about off camera. So, I've ended up coming up with 8 inches from top to bottom and then 6 inches. And I'm just simply going to wrap this around. I had already folded this, creased the wallpaper for that little example, so I'm just working with it. And I'm going to wrap that around to where it's just about in the middle of this back piece. So I guess this really isn't crucial. I'm going to go ahead and add. So these are both about 10 inches long. It really isn't necessary that they would be that long because some of it's going to be hidden on the front, but I'm just going to go with it anyway. Whoops, stuff is sticky. I might as well finish taping this while I have the tape out. I choose to add more. where I can. Now this is already creased, so I'm just gonna more or less guess, because this isn't crucial. Just want to make sure that's probably shouldn't have creased that, because I would have liked it to have been rounded. But I'm just going to aim that towards the back. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. I really don't want that crease on the very edge. I'm just going to angle it towards the back of the card. You really don't want to crease your work. You want to round it on something like this to get that custom fit. I'm just going to pull it to the back. That's good. So, I don't know. It's kind of fun sometimes when you, I don't know, I think that slid a little bit. When you have to, you know, you're faced with challenges. Maybe something isn't exactly what you want it to be. I'm going to put this back on because I am not going to make a mistake on that. Oh, this is where I wish I had 4 hands. At least 3 would be nice. Maybe it slid because I was trying to put the edge. I guess I won't worry about it. I'll just go with it. I think I can fix it on the front. There. So that looks even. Just at that point, I can just pull on the front of it, I think. Anyway, I don't have to be so fussy because I'm putting a piece of paper over this. So on this, I'm just going to go up to it a little bit. I'm pretty good at cutting. So projects take time. Now this is what a lot of people wouldn't show. They would just show you something all done. And then once you get the very edge, then everything else is just effortless. Alright, so this piece, I thought I would come in just a little bit, just to add a nice little look. And then really, this could be cut down, so I think I'm going to. I don't really need that being that long. I'll take a little bit of it off. And if I do that, and I'm saving a little bit, I could turn that into quite a few tags. Probably 4 running sideways. So why hide it, and then I'm wasting it at that point. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and tape this. So hopefully this is going to help somebody. If I do this video for one person, then that's great. I'm not going to eyeball that, because this is just slippery and it's probably going to move on me. little bit of fabric. And I suppose if I want to get really fussy, this ruler is really a good thing. You can just square your work up so nice. See that little tiny bit of paper showing the purple line, and then that little tiny bit of paper, you know you're even. And that came out good. A lot of adhesive. I guess this could boggle some people, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully not. Now again, it's good to round. And probably, where that's creased, I'm so fussy, I will probably go in and touch that up because I can see a little bit of white. I might even add a little bit of adhesive, well, glue on the very edge of that, because I will do that to bindings anyway. But that's the fun of it, I guess. Gives you something else to do. Alright, and I just thought of something that I did that I shouldn't have done. So can I literally? Yes, I can. I can literally take this off because this is a silky wallpaper. And once it's not going to come off of that, but that's fine, it doesn't have to. I forgot a step. I'd already considered that I was gonna do this a certain way. So let's see here. Try to get this in my head the way I thought I was gonna do this. So this is something that I should mention. A lot of people would just look at that. Let's take this one that I just did. This is the front and the back. They would look at something like this and somebody would say, okay, make a card using these things. Clean up my work surface quick. So they might say, make a card using these 3 items. So right away someone's going to think, well, put that in the middle, that in the middle of that, and that in the middle of that. Well, obviously that doesn't look the greatest because this one is bigger than that, but just picture this being smaller. Somebody would automatically, there you go with the first layer, there you go with the second, and if this was a little bit smaller, there you go, you get the picture. There you go with the finishing layer. Well, if you mix it up a little bit, which I'm going to lift that up, I believe, and pull this one down just a little bit, so I'm going to have to put this on there right now. This paper I tore with a ruler, so I'll have to get into that. Maybe I'll do a few little Christmas cards and use that little technique. I'll use a different little see the way I want this. Do I want it that way, or do I want it? It looks better that way. This top is really torn nice and the bottom isn't as much. I think that I may have used different rulers, I'm not sure. This technique works very good on cardstock. Wallpaper, it isn't as great because it's flimsy and it just wants to go down, even if you have this little technique with a liner. Thinking about this piece of paper is going to come down lower, so you're not even going to see this side. So because this paper is off, I'm going to focus on the top and on the side, and I'm not even going to worry about this one, the bottom right. It was good if the glue stuck. Keeping it real in the craft room. If you have problems, hey, people need to see them. It's not like it's some major issue. But people like to hide everything. They like to look absolutely perfect. Well, it might look perfect in the end, but this is the process of getting there. I'm no phony. And I'm not going to the edge of this because it's torn. So there's no way I'm going to follow that torn line. It's a little bit too much even for me. So what way does this look better? I'm going to work with this upside down a little bit, just because I think it will be easier. And again, when you tear paper, it is not coming out even. So you make the most of it. And before I go and do that, I'm gonna just check and see if the other side is more even than the one I just worked with. And it is, so I'm gonna have to change my own plan. I'm gonna have to put the other piece on the bottom. Even though I didn't really care to, it's just the way the paper's falling. Which it's alright. I'd rather have it even looking. That's good. Surprised that I can lift. Well, that one's not going to come up too good. I was going to say I'm surprised that I can lift that up a little bit. I can slide that. I need that to come down just a little bit, and I did it. I tell you, this tape, when this goes down, it's going down. But that's a good thing. So one piece, it came up off of pretty easy. That piece, it was stuck. I thought that I had all of this up, but I guess not. this. Just gonna go over this part. Now this right here, I will just put, I'll do that right now so I can show. It's kind of good to keep these little liner pieces. I should have gotten the glue there. Put a little more on it. The generator running. So I'm just gonna, this is a little trick I love doing. Just to get that glue right under the paper. Just need a little bit more. I can fuss more, but you can see how you can get that right under there. There. Might be a little bit right there. This glue just comes right off, that Aleene's glue. It's really, really nice. And, oh, the fun thing, I didn't mention that, and I'm glad I just thought of it. It's amazing to work with wallpaper, because if you do get a little bit of glue on this, most of the wallpaper is actually scrubbable. You don't have to be so fussy. Okay, and you can see, doesn't that look horrible? You probably thought, what in the world is she doing? So we've got a layer pulled up to the top instead of everything just on top of each other. A layer pulled up, one pulled down, and we're just gonna go right there with that one. And it's just really cute. And then something is kind of missing over here. So even if you wanted to take a little tag, this is almost that, but not, it's not the same, not exactly. You could just do something like that and finish it off with a little brad. But I'll go ahead and I'll glue that down. This top piece, I'm gonna go ahead and tape the whole thing. I don't want this lifting up. And I myself, I can just go around, and if there's any little pieces are all around here, I'll use the same technique that I just showed off camera. And whether it be this little one or this one, I'll just put glue and go all around and get that down so that won't lift up. But on this one, where it's the top piece, I am going to go around the outer edge and make sure that's glued. Oh, double-sided adhesive stuck. And then I'll just run one sideways. Well, this has been a fun project to make. This is when I will take a little bit of time so I have to take into consideration what I'm working with is off. So let's just make it look as pleasant to the eye as you possibly can. There, and that looks good. Fun, fun. So, the things that you can do with wallpaper. Now, when I go to push this down, you're not lifting it up. It's down. Yeah, that's really cute. Now, depending on how I would like to do this, I think that's cute. And if that was a birthday card, then you could just go in with a little sentiment right here and saying happy birthday. I'm gonna find a brad and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm just finishing up the front of the card, and I have changed out the tag for this larger one. I think that it just matches a little bit better. And it kind of matches a little, it's a little darker than that, but it kind of blends good, and this kind of blends with the eyes. I think it's pretty. I'm just going to apply this with glue dots. I think that would be the best solution. I'm just going to place the glue dots on each side of the brad. It's really difficult to release sometimes. I'll just stagger them around. I really want them to stick, and I don't want to go in with just flat tape, and I don't want to go in with foam, but I want a little bit of a lift, and this is going to be just enough. I think in the end I'm going to end up opening this tag just a little bit, and I will go in with like a happy birthday on this tag on the top. So I don't know if you can get that, but where we have so much going on, I don't want to end up going in with it straight. I want to come off here just a little bit up from the bottom, just about. I think that's pleasant to the eye, and that's good. And it's stuck. So this, in the end, I'll decide where I want this after I end up putting like a happy birthday, and then I can adjust this, and I'll probably just take a glue dot and then adhere it down. But that's how it ended up turning out. So that's the front and the back, and a tag could be added back here. You can do so much. I mean, just to get a little bit of a different look. And then you could even write something here, or you could say your own name, who created it. It's endless. So I will go in with most likely a nice pretty piece of paper, and I thought that to finish it off I would take this larger die, and once I go in with the paper inside, probably just do this sort of thing, and then just the sentiment on that. Okay, so all we have left is to do the inside of the card, and I have a couple of options. I thought that these were pretty. This piece, I believe, matches this right here. Let's see if that is a true match. I believe it is. And I thought this one blended really good with the lighter color. So I kind of thought that I would go in with that, and then I don't know if it looks too light. I don't really want it to look too dark. Then I thought, well, if I bring the sides in a ways, it would give it a little bit of a different look. And then I thought, well, I could always do this and then put this inside of it. I think I'm going to do that. So I've already gone ahead and I've creased the paper. Look at my paper trimmer. I need to square this up. So I'm pretty sure it's off. The thing about wallpaper, it cuts fairly easy. So I know the card is 12 inches high. So I'm just gonna, I'll take it down just a little bit and then I'll check to see what I think. And this, I'm just gonna take that rough edge off. I think I'll make it an even 8 inches. And we'll see what that looks like. Pretty good. Just about where I want it. For the distance from top to bottom. Okay, let's see what that would look like if I go ahead and do that similar. Knows if I want to come down too much more. So and I had done that 8, so I'll come in just a little bit. Now this is pretty much just custom work at this point, so I'm just gonna see what looks again. I work at times what's pleasant to the eye. So I know I need to come down. I'm going to take a little bit off. I know. So now this is something that you have to decide what looks better in the end. That's dark. I don't really care for that too much. That looks really yellowy looking. I think it is the blending of the two. I'm going to take a little bit of the length off. Top to bottom. Cute, looks like a book.
Yeah.
Like the pages. It's pretty. So, in the end, if I was to even go in with a real pretty smaller piece, maybe I will tear the edges. Now if I continue to just keep going and going and going, and I do that, I can always just at that point take a photo and put it on my Instagram page, but this would obviously be sufficient for anybody. A lot of people would just call that done right at that point. But I'm thinking maybe I am going to go in with a torn piece. So if I end up referring you over to my Instagram page. I would love it if you would follow me over there. I think that it's just going to kind of go hand in hand with my YouTube channel. So I'm going to go quite close to this. I don't want this card to open up like what I was mentioning, what anyone would do for taking photos. Well, I'm trying to think how I want that. I really want it pretty close. Just gonna set this back in real quick. I think I'll go out just a little bit with that adhesive. I don't think I want to do it too much on the edges. So wow, it just varies from one card to the next, how you put your adhesive. It really is just, anyone doing work like this is just custom work. You may decide on your card you want it, the adhesive in a different spot. Okay, so this is fairly easy. You're just gonna put it in the, try to get the angle for the camera, center here. I guess I'll just do this. This is very, very slippery, and instead I know right away I've already gone and put a brad, so I'm gonna work on the back of this. Just lay this flat. So if you do that, you've already decorated the front. Just work off the back, because the back is normally always flat. Just makes sense. So I'm just going to push that up, and looking on each side. I'm eyeballing from here the distance. I'll see if I can turn this. Got a better shot of what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to actually just close this down. Then I'll take it back up again. So that should have slid right into place where it needs to be. A little trick. Already. That's good. Well, I'm probably going to want to do this too in the end. I wasn't quite sure, but I don't really want it. That's the difference with wallpaper, how it can be kind of like a floppy look, unless I do this. Not quite sure how I want that. I'll have to think about that. I'll cut that. Already done. I'll insert that other piece and I'll go from there. But when you put the adhesive tight on the binding, it's good. It doesn't open too far. It's not like a floppy card. Now it actually feels like a card. So that's really good. Trying to think the easiest way of doing that. I'll do this one first. Decisions. I'm doing a completed card. I wasn't quite sure if I was gonna take it right to the end or if I would take photos of this part. I thought, I better complete it. And we'll do the same process, but you're working from the back. So that's how I would do it, and then put the cover down, but I am going to just face it towards me a little bit because I don't want any surprises. Hopefully everything is square. Little tricks you do. Piece up. Boy, help me with this one, I would like to say. Help. Sometimes you feel like a magician in the craft room when you do these things and they turn out right. This is floppy paper to work with. It's not like cardstock, but normally the inside of the card you would do thinner paper anyway. But as you can see, it is different to work with. But just notice I'm not complaining. As my card moves around. There. It did definitely work. So, however I would decide to adhere these down, I'll just think about that for just a little bit. But it is finished, and I could just go ahead and do this because that's the way I left the flaps. So, a lot of people would call that done, but I did think that I might go in with, and I could actually do that. I may just in the end, now this is where it would kind of be a little personal, you might come up with your own little sentiment and print it out on your copier. I'll probably leave it just like this, whether I just put a couple little glue dots or just even liquid glue, just a few little places. You can just use a liquid glue like a glue dot. When I had that little spatula tool, I could just put a little here, there, top and bottom, and put that down, and then just do this. So that's probably how I will finish this off in the end, but as of right now, I would call this completed. So that's the front, which would be that way. I will end up, when I find exactly where I want that after the little happy birthday goes on, I'll just probably put a little glue dot. So that is the middle and the back, and it is all wallpaper, which is amazing. So a greeting card oversized with all wallpaper. Well, I hope you've had fun. This really was a fun project to make. It took a little while. It's definitely not a 15 or 20 minute card, but it's worth it. Well, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.